Welcome back. Housing construction speeding up in Canada, rising almost 4% in July. That's coming from the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation. Let's bring in Tanya Burosa-Ochoa. She's the Deputy Chief Economist at CMHC. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So what's happening in Toronto, which is half the housing starts in July than a year ago?
Yes, so in Toronto, we're definitely seeing slower housing starts. We've been seeing that for the past few months, almost a year already, and the condominium market is really what's triggering that. So we're seeing a lot of projects that are either being canceled or postponed. And so that decline in activity in the condominium side is really pulling the housing starts down.
You mentioned you've been seeing that for the past few months. The current data says it's 69% down from last year. Has it just been a gradual increase over the last 3 or 4 months?
So it's been actually a gradual decrease. We can expect to see that decrease continue further down the road. I think it's important to note that housing starts are not necessarily the reflection of real-time housing market conditions. So what I mean by that is it takes a lot of time between the time that a project is thought about and proposed and the housing start, which is the moment when the foundation is actually poured. So the foundation is complete, basically. And so with that in mind, there is a significant lag between a investment decision or developer sentiment, if you will, and the actual housing start. So with that in mind, yes, we've been seeing that decline in terms of condominium starts in Toronto. It's been the case as well in Vancouver, but to a lesser extent. But we can expect to see those housing starts continue to decline over the next few years.
Okay, so on the flip side, Montreal starts are up 200%. Is that the same kind of housing we're talking about, sort of multi-unit condo-like housing?
So it's definitely multi-unit construction, but it's purpose-built rental that we're seeing in Montreal. So that is definitely, it spiked in the numbers in July. So there's definitely some large projects that are being, the foundation is being completed basically. But this is rental housing. So it's not necessarily the same type of housing that we're seeing in Toronto or in Vancouver decline. On the condo side in Montreal, we're also seeing very few projects that are moving forward.
Update us then on what's going on in Vancouver. There's still growth there.
So there's still growth there. So this is really July, the July housing starts. We have to keep in mind that it is very volatile in a sense where it could change a lot month to month, depending on what is being putting forward. But generally speaking, when we're looking at Vancouver since the beginning of the year, we're also seeing that the condominium market has slowed down quite significantly. We're seeing some projects being canceled. And so we're seeing housing starts, for the 7 first months of the year, we're seeing that those numbers come down.
We've spoken for many years now about a housing crisis in Canada. I'm wondering whether, from the data that you've seen, we have seen some markets improve in that sphere.
So unfortunately, we've definitely seen affordability deteriorate, and that is true across the various regions across Canada. We're seeing, however, and you mentioned we saw an increase of 4% in housing starts. That is still positive because it means more employment in the construction industry. It means, more materials that will be, bought down the road. So it is good for our economy. And so more housing starts means more homes down the road. And so we sincerely think that more supply is a key contributor to reaching more affordable markets down the road. It's not the only factor, but it's definitely a determining one. And so it is overall, when we're looking at the national picture, it is, we're moving one step into the right direction, basically.
I think you touched on how busy July typically would be summer months. So they're taking advantage of the better weather in the country. Do things begin to slow down, or when do things begin to slow down? Is it typically October, November, or later than that?
It could be later than that. We do publish our seasonally adjusted annual rate, which will include that seasonal fluctuation that we would typically see in housing starts, because we live in Canada, and in some places the conditions make it much harder to pour that foundation, as we were talking about. And so, so that number basically will kind of limit the volatility of the data. But typically in the winter months, if you look at only our raw data, so our actual housing starts, you would typically start seeing housing starts come down.
Got it. All right. We appreciate your time. Tanya Burasa Ochoa is the Deputy Chief Economist at CMHC. Thank you.